At this time, with the court's permission, we'd ask to publish the perpetuated testimony of Jesse Newbanks.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, and that's going to be played on the computer. So we have some testimony that has been previously been given in this case, specifically for this trial. This person is unavailable to be here today. So they pre-recorded his testimony. It was actually taken, I believe, from this courtroom. So we'll play that in just a few moments, okay? Let me know when you're ready.
We're ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Newbanks. And for the record, I do recognize you personally, having seen you in my office and the courtroom before. So if you raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm the information you shall give us the whole truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Thank you.
Do you also swear that you will be, because you're currently out of state, you also swear that you will agree to be bound by Florida law regarding your testimony?
Thank you.
All right. I think that's the rule.
For the record, the state is calling Jesse Newbanks, Your Honor.
He's here.
Can you please state your name for me, sir?
Here is Jesse Newbanks. That's Newbanks.
Where do you work now?
I work for the United States Department of Homeland Security, specifically Homeland Security Investigations.
What are you doing for them now?
My official title is a Special Agent Trainee.
When did you start at the Homeland Security Office?
April of 2025.
And where are you physically located now?
I'm currently assigned to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia.
How long does that training program last with the Department of Homeland Security?
I will be here until October of this year.
Because you are in training and involved and employed by a federal agency, are you able to come back to Florida to testify at trial when this trial is supposed to take place?
No, sir. We're currently assigned here full-time, living on center, and we're not allowed any vacation days or any time off, things like that. The only time off we have are federal holidays.
Where did you work before taking the job with Homeland Security?
The Marion County Sheriff's Office.
How long did you work there?
I think a little over 9 years.
What position did you hold there?
I was the Senior Digital Forensic Technician for their Criminal Investigations Division.
What did that involve? What did you do on a day-to-day basis?
Generally speaking, I conducted extractions and analysis of evidence items containing digital evidence, so from cell phones to computers, DVR systems, things of that nature.
Would you describe your educational background, your training, and your experience that allows you to do that job with Marion County?
Sure. So I hold a Master's of Science from the University of South Florida in cybersecurity, specializing in digital forensics. I hold a graduate certificate from the University of South Florida in digital forensics, and I have approximately 1,200 hours worth of specialized training in the areas of cybersecurity and digital forensics. I also hold approximately 21 different certifications in those fields as well.
Did some of that training specifically involve the extraction of data from cell phones, computers, and other digital devices?
That is correct.
What about surveillance systems such as digital video recorders, DVRs?
That is correct.
Have you also received training in extracting data on infotainment centers?
That is correct.
What is an infotainment center?
Very generally speaking, it's the unit within a vehicle that allows you to connect your phone, see maps, GPS, listen to audio, make phone calls, things of that nature.
Obviously, technology in digital forensics changes very rapidly. How do you keep yourself aware of these changes in technology?
First and foremost, continuing education, continually going to new trainings. As things are advancing, there are updates to trainings, things of that nature. There are also many reports, blogs, things of that nature as people in the field of digital forensics continually find new information or continually address new problems. Usually there are white papers, things like that are released so you can read about those changes.
Can you estimate about how many cell phones from which you have extracted data?
I think the last count was it was a little over 1,500.
And are you familiar with the differing operating systems and different makes and models of cell phones?
I am, yes.
What is an operating system?
Very broadly speaking, it is the user interface that the user uses to interact with the storage content and the files located on the device.
And are you trained in the various operating systems that are used in both iPhones and Samsung Galaxies, Android type phones?
I am, yes.
What equipment do you use when doing a forensic examination of a cell phone when you worked at the Marion County Sheriff's Office?
At the Sheriff's Office, we primarily use Cellbrite as the tool to do that.
What is Cellbrite?
It is a third-party tool generated by a private organization that's used to extract and analyze data from cellular devices.
Can you describe a little bit about your training and experience in using that program?
Sure. So with Cellbrite specifically, I'm what's called a Certified Cellbrite Mobile Examiner, or CCME. It is their capstone level of training. So I've gone through numerous different courses with Cellbrite in the use of their tools specifically, and passed all of those to obtain that designation.
You mentioned some of your duties at the Marion County Sheriff's Office also involved extracting data from video recording surveillance systems. Can you estimate about how many times you've done that?
I don't have a number in front of me. It's one of those things that in the last couple of years of the Sheriff's Office, we actually stopped tracking the number of DVR systems we examined just because it was constant.
Can you estimate about how many times you've been involved in removing infotainment centers from various vehicles?
Specifically with the Sheriff's Office, that was only a handful of times.
Okay. You used the term, I think, forensic analysis. What is meant by that term?
It is the review or the analyzing of data removed from digital evidence.
Have you ever been permitted to provide opinion testimony in the area of digital forensics in a court of law?
I have, yes.
Can you estimate about how many times?
I believe it's like 3 or 4.
This time, Your Honor, I'd request that this witness be permitted to provide opinion testimony in the area of digital forensics.
Any objection or voir dire?
No objection.
Without objection, I'll allow him to testify in a form of opinion.
Turning to your involvement in this case, did you become involved in the investigation of the case of State of Florida versus Herbert Swilley and the death of Timothy Smith?
Okay.
Let me direct your attention to March 25th of 2023. Did you respond to 1940 Southeast 40th Street Road?
I did. Oop, I apologize, Your Honor. It seems that the lights in the room I was in just went out on me. There we go. They're back. I apologize about that.
Describe that location.
It was an apartment, kind of an apartment quad, if you will.
And who contacted you and requested you to come to that location?
Specifically, Detective Pinder.
When you arrived at that apartment complex, were you asked to do anything by Detective Pinder?
I was. He was provided 2 cell phones and asked to conduct extraction on those.
And to whom did those cell phones belong?
The information was provided to me. It was Mr. Tim Smith.
And you were asked to extract data from those phones?
That is correct.
Were those cell phones packaged in any way, or were they just given to you as like just a cell phone?
They were provided in an evidence bag that was collected on scene.
Can you describe the 2 phones for me?
One was a Samsung Galaxy cell phone. The other was an iPhone, if I recall.
What did you do with those 2 phones?
They were secured, transported back to the Sheriff's Office, and then I began analysis on those.
Once you arrived back at the Marion County Sheriff's Office at your lab with those cell phones, did you document each phone's identifying information, such as the make, the model, the serial number, things like that?
I did, yes.
Can you explain what type of information you documented?
So at the Sheriff's Office, we would document everything from make, model, serial, phone numbers associated with the devices, a broad number of items to be able to identify that specific device.
What is meant by the term make and model of the phone?
It's the specific manufacturer and that specific model or class of phone, I guess you could say.
Is that information located on the physical device, the phone itself?
It is, yes.
What is meant by the term serial number?
That would be the unique number assigned by the manufacturer of that device to be able to track that specific item.
And is that, you said that's unique, is that number unique to the specific phone?
Correct.
What is meant by the term IMEI number?
Yes, so your IMEI is another unique number on that device. It's actually used by the cellular providers to be able to track that specific device across cellular networks.
Is that number also unique to the specific phone that you're looking at?
Correct.
How do you determine the phone number associated with the phone?
The easiest way is if we have access to the phone, it will be displayed. Otherwise, there are other ways you can be able to determine what the phone number is on the device.
All of this unique identifying information that you've just gone through, when you create an extraction report, when you remove the data from the phone and create a digital report, does all that unique identifying information also appear on the extraction report?
Correct. That information is pulled from our tools from the device and displayed for us as well.
And what's the point of you documenting all of this unique identifying information from the phone?
So that anytime we can look at a specific device, or we can go back to a specific device and be able to match it up to its associated extraction.
You said you were given 2 phones by Detective Pinder. What kind of phones were they?
One was a Samsung Galaxy smartphone, the other was an iPhone.
Okay, let's start with the Samsung Galaxy phone. In what condition was that phone when you received it? You already said it was packaged in a bag, but what physical condition?
Correct. It was in operational order. It was powered on at the time.
What did you do with that specific phone to forensically analyze it?
We took it back to the sheriff's office. We plugged it into our software. And we began analysis of it.
And what is a Faraday box?
So a Faraday box, easiest way to explain that, it's a little mini, almost black hole. The phone goes into that box, and it has technology built within that to block any signal coming in or going out of that box itself. Essentially, once the phone goes into that, it no longer exists to the outside world.
So you started your analysis of the Samsung Galaxy phone. What did you do with the other phone, the iPhone?
The iPhone was placed in a Faraday box.
And again, why was that done?
To prevent any potential signals coming into that device or not.
Again, referring to the Galaxy phone, the Samsung Galaxy. What was the make and model of that phone?
That was a Samsung Galaxy S21, if I recall.
Is there any additional identifying information for the make and model of that phone?
There would be a specific model number of that phone. If I can refer to my notes, I can tell you what that is.
If that'll refresh your memory, go ahead, please.
Sure, it's a Samsung G991U as in uniform.
Are you familiar with that type of phone?
I am, yes.
How?
I personally have a Samsung.
Okay. You said you documented the IMEI number of that phone?
Correct.
Just for record purposes, what was the IMEI number of that phone?
Again, can I refer to my notes?
Yes, sir.
It's a pretty long number. It's a
And again, for record purposes, what was the serial number of that phone? Did you perform a data extraction from that phone?
yes.
Can you briefly just explain how you actually do that?
Sure. So we take that device, we connect it to our forensic workstation, which has the extraction tools we use on it, in this specific case, Cellbrite. Once the phone is connected to Cellbrite and Cellbrite can interact with that device, we can begin pulling data from that device.
Does this extraction process change, modify, add, or delete any information on the phone as it pertains to things like data, text messages, chats, phone calls, things like that?
No, it does not modify any of the user data of that device.
Was the phone password protected?
It was, yes.
Did you know the password?
I did not know.
Were you able to bypass the password to access the data on the phone?
I was, yes.
How do you do that?
We use the tools we have available to us, in this specific case, Cellbrite. Cellbrite has methodology within it to defeat passcodes, which we did successfully in this case.
Are you always able to bypass or defeat passcodes in any phone you look at?
No, we are not.
Why not?
So depending on a number of different factors, such as the operating system version of that device or the complexity of the encryption, which is usually tied to that passcode itself, sometimes we cannot always break them.
What type of data did you extract from this Samsung Galaxy phone that you just referred to?
So in this specific instance, we conducted what's called a full file system extraction of that device. That will contain everything from text messages to photos to system logs to a number of various items.
Were there any problems with the extraction?
None that I can recall, no.
If there would have been problems, would the Cellbrite program have notified you?
Correct.
Did you determine the phone number associated with that Samsung Galaxy phone?
We did, yes.
What was that phone number? What did you do with the data that you extracted from the phone?
The data was extracted, put into a forensic report, and then ultimately provided to Detective Pender.
Okay, and is that, do you print it out on paper? Do you put it on a digital media? How do you do that?
So generally speaking, when we're doing it at the Sheriff's Office, we provide it on a flash drive because it's more of an electronic report than a physical paper copy.
Okay. And who did you provide this digital report to? Do you remember?
I believe we got the phones from Detective Pender, but if I can refer to my report real quick, I provided that to Detective Lytle.
Okay.
Apologies.
Does the extraction, the digital extraction report that you put on a jump drive or a flash drive and gave to Detective Lytle, does that contain all the same identifying information that appeared on the actual phone?
It does, yes.
Is that how you know that the extraction report you generated came specifically from the phone that you analyzed?
Yes, correct.
Did you examine the results of your extraction on the Samsung Galaxy phone?
In this case, yes, I did.
Did you examine data found on that phone relating to a uConnect system?
I did, yes.
What is a uConnect system?
Generally speaking, it is the infotainment system usually found in Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep type of vehicles.
Now, based on extraction data that you obtained, were you able to tell when a phone or this phone connected to a Bluetooth device like a Bluetooth speaker or an infotainment center such as what you just described, the uConnect system?
That is correct.
And can you explain that process? What do you look for and what do you find?
Sure. So in the systems that we use, specifically Cellbrite, when we conduct that extraction, we then take all of that information pulled from that device and we load it into Cellbrite. Cellbrite then starts to organize that a little bit. One of the areas within that report that we can look at is what's called device connections or device communications. That will list anything such as Bluetooth connections, connections to Wi-Fi networks, things of that nature. From that area, we're able to identify whether or not a device was able to connect to like a Bluetooth item.
What is a Bluetooth?
It's one of many different network technologies that are employed in phones and various other devices for wireless communication.
So when I get in my car, or if I'm close enough to my car, my phone can connect to the Bluetooth system in my car?
Provided that it has been connected in the past, yes.
Is that why I can make phone calls and send text messages and things like that through my car's system while I'm driving down the road?
That is correct.
Does that connection that my phone would make with my car, does that leave the data you described on the actual cell phone?
It does, and the reverse of the vehicle also has a record of the phone.
When you examined the connection data from the victim's Samsung Galaxy phone, what did it show specifically around the time period of March 23rd of 2023 and then again March 24th of 2023?
I believe there were 5 different connections to a uConnect system within that time frame.
Okay. Can you explain what that means?
So essentially the phone within its log, a specific database we're able to review on that specific device, shows that during that time frame there were 5 Bluetooth connections made to a specific device labeled as a uConnect system.
When were those connections made?
I don't recall the exact times, but it was within the time frame that was just stated.
Okay. Would it refresh your memory to take a look at your report for the exact times?
It would.
Okay. If you could do that, take a look at your report and let me know when you're done, if that refreshes your memory as far as the exact times the Bluetooth connections was made.
Let me work on that here 1 second. So on those 5 connections, they were all from 3:23 of 23, from 6:45 p.m. till about 3:24 and about 2:45 a.m.
Okay. So there was a connection to a uConnect system at 6:45, is that p.m. on March 23rd of 2023?
Correct.
When is the next connection after that time?
The next connection after that is on 3/24/2023 at approximately 2:44 a.m.
And what about the remaining connections? When did those happen?
The next connection after that was the same date at approximately 2:45 a.m.
Okay. So there was a connection made on March 23rd at 6:45 p.m. and then again the following morning, March 24th, at 2:44 and 2:45 a.m.
Correct.
Okay. So explain what that means about the connection. What does that mean?
So, on that report, the connections show that when that phone was able to see and ultimately connect successfully to the other device that's labeled, in this specific case, it's that uConnect system.
Is the data consistent with the victim's Samsung Galaxy phone making a connection to a uConnect system in a vehicle?
Correct.
What type of vehicle did that uConnect system apply to?
Apologies again, Your Honor. Specifically, I'm sitting still so the lights keep going off on me. Specifically, those are Chrysler Dodge Jeep vehicles.
And I'm showing you, outside the presence of the jury, but I think you can see it on your screen, a report. It's a 3-page report. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I do, yes.
And if I'll scroll down so you can see the entire report. Do you recognize that report?
I do, yes.
How do you recognize it?
So at the top of that report has my name and my information from when we created that original extraction report. This is specifically a subset of data out of that electronic report that identifies the device and then 5 of those connections.
And how do you know that this report came from the data that you took from the victim's Samsung Galaxy phone that we've been talking about?
Or at the beginning of that report, again, it has all of that case information that I entered into that extraction.
Does that report fairly and accurately depict the device connectivity information from that specific phone?
Yes, it shows from that phone those devices are connected to.
And does it reflect the different times that the phone connected to that uConnect system that you just went over?
It does, yes.
This time state what moves states A into evidence and states 1.
Judge, I would ask to briefly voir dire the witness on this
Yes, sir.
issue. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
John Klein on behalf of the defendant. Regarding the report that you just reviewed, that report was prepared by you, is that correct?
It is from the extraction report prepared by me, correct?
Okay. And you're utilizing a computer program, Cellbrite in this case, to prepare that report, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So the information contained in that report came from the program and not from you, is that right or wrong?
So I don't quite understand how to answer that question. The data itself comes from the phone. The program is what we use to extract the data from that phone, and then ultimately we use that to create an electronic report of the data from that device.
And it's Cellbrite that's creating that electronic report, correct?
Yes, in this specific instance, it was the export of a PDF report, but yes.
Understood. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Judge, I would object to hearsay.
Why do you believe it's hearsay?
I believe it's hearsay because the content of the report was generated not by the declarant, but by the computer program Cellbrite.
As I understand it, the Cellbrite is a digital extraction tool. It's just simply telling us what digital information is on the phone. So I don't believe that's hearsay. So I'll overrule the objection.
Yes, sir.
Being evidence of stage number 1.
Except for the uConnect analysis, which we just went through, did you perform any other analysis on the data extracted from this phone?
No.
So any other questions about what was found on that phone? Would those questions be better asked of the detective who reviewed the extraction results?
That is correct.
I understand. Turning to the second phone given to you at the apartment scene by Detective Pender, the Apple iPhone. What condition was that phone in when you received it?
I believe it was the same condition as the first. I don't recall specifically, but I believe it was provided to us and then put in that Faraday box.
Okay. So once you were done extracting the data from the first phone, did you retrieve this second phone, the iPhone?
Yes, ultimately we did.
Did you again document the identifying information of this second, the iPhone?
I do.
What make and model of phone was it?
That specifically was an iPhone SE from approximately 2020. We specify which one just because iPhones had numerous iterations of iPhone SEs.
What was the serial number of that phone?
I don't recall the serial number at that point. I don't have that documented in my report, but it would have been at the time we documented it.
What about the IMEI number? Did you document that in your report?
I did, yes.
What was that?
That is 356472-107-946494.
Was this phone password protected as well?
Was.
Did you know the passcode to it?
We did not.
Did you try to bypass the passcode to access the data?
We did.
And what were your results?
We were not successful in doing that.
Why not?
So specifically, this phone had what's called a complex alphanumeric passcode. So most phones have like a 6-digit or a 4-digit PIN. This one's an alphanumeric combination, so it can literally be anything provided, password 1 with a capital B. The tools attempt to use anything they can, but because of the large breadth of what that could be, it exhausts what dictionaries we are able to put together. It's not always successful in that specific case. Because it's an iPhone, the encryption of that device is tied to that passcode, so if we can't defeat it, we can't access it.
So bottom line, you weren't able to extract any data from this second phone, correct?
No, sir, we were not.
Okay. Let me direct your attention now to March 30th of 2023. Were you provided another phone in this case?
I was, yes.
And to whom did that phone belong?
It was identified to me as Mr. Swilly.
Okay. In what condition was that phone when it was given to you?
I believe that one was also powered on. We had secured it in our Faraday box.
What was the make and model of that phone?
That was another Samsung Galaxy S21.
Okay. Same model as the first, SMG991U?
Correct.
Okay. What was the serial number?
With that one, referring to my notes here, it was...
What was the IMEI number for document purposes? What phone number was associated with that phone? At the time you did the extraction of this phone, were you in possession of a search warrant that was signed by a judge that allowed you to access certain data on this phone?
Correct. It was provided to me prior to extraction.
Okay. And what did you do with this phone began the extraction process?
Generally speaking, same as the first. It was removed from our Faraday box, connected to our forensic machines, and ultimately self-write, and then data was extracted off of it.
Were there any problems with the extraction?
None that were noted, no.
What did you do with the digital results of your extraction from the data from that phone?
For that one, again, the report was created and provided to detectives for their review.
Did you have any involvement in the analysis of any data extracted from Herbert Swilley's phone?
No, not on that phone, no.
Let me direct your attention again to that same day, March 30th of 2023. Were you asked to examine a vehicle?
I was, yes.
What kind of vehicle did you examine?
That was a 2020 Jeep Sahara.
And what was your role or your purpose in examining this vehicle?
So we specifically were looking to identify what type of infotainment system was located within that vehicle.
Did that purpose have anything to do with the uConnect connections that the Timothy Smith's phone made with the uConnect system?
Correct. So we were able to identify that that device had a potential uConnect system in it, but at the time we were not able to determine specifically what kind of uConnect system was in that device. So we needed to look a little further.
And again, so we're talking about the proper vehicle. What was the VIN number associated with that Jeep?
Referring to my report here, it is a 1 Charlie, 4 Hotel, Juliet X-Ray, Echo, November, 2 Lima, Whiskey, 325960.
What did you do with that VIN number?
So we take the VIN, which identifies a specific make, model, and trim level of a vehicle, and we enter that into a system we use to conduct our infotainment system extractions. It's called Burle's IV program. That program allows us to enter in that VIN, and it shows us what supported infotainment systems should be located in those vehicles.
What do you mean by a supported infotainment system?
So just like with cell phones, infotainments within vehicles can vary in different makes, models, operating system types. Not every single one of those will be supported by all of the commercial tools that are out there. So what is supported by Burle, which is the primary tool we use, it identifies which of those systems it can extract, pull data from, and analyze data from.
So when you put that VIN number into the extraction program, the Burle program you described, what did you find?
We found that specifically that make, model, and trim level of a Jeep should contain one of 5 different uConnect systems. We wouldn't be able to know specifically which one until we looked a little further in that vehicle.
So how did you determine which Connect system it had?
We had to remove it from the vehiel.
Okay. So can you explain what you did and how you did that?
Sure.
Well, first of all, before I ask you that, let me stop you. Were you in possession before you did this of a search warrant signed by a judge that permitted you to go into the infotainment center?
That is correct.
Okay. So what did you do?
So we go into the vehicle itself, and we have to physically remove the device from the center console of that Jeep.
When you removed the infotainment device, what did you find?
We found that it was one of the systems that Burle had showed us would be in that vehicle. Unfortunately, however, that specific infotainment system in that vehicle, what's called an active, the make is active, that makes that infotainment module. It runs what's called a uConnect version 4, not the uConnect 4C. The 4C is what is supported for extraction using Burle's tools.
So in normal people terms, what does that mean?
That specific infotainment was not supported for extraction.
Okay. So what did you do?
So just because it's not supported by that specific tool does not mean that the data that could potentially reside on that device does not exist. So what we did is we removed that module and we went down to the actual circuit board containing the memory chip. We identified which chip that was, and then I reached out to my contacts with the United States Secret Service. At the time, I was a task force officer with them for assistance.
Did they agree to help?
They did, yes.
So what did you do?
I actually physically transported that infotainment system module to the United States Secret Service office in Jacksonville and met with a task force officer up there named James Padilla. He had the equipment and capabilities needed to do what's called a chip-off extraction from that device.
What is a chip-off extraction?
physically removes that memory chip from the circuit board of that device and then puts it into a reader to where we can obtain all of the ones and zeros and an image of that specific range of memory.
Were you present when Agent James Padilla did that?
Was at his side the entire time.
Have you done that similar type of procedure on other electronic devices before?
Other devices, yes, but not infotainment systems.
Okay. Once that chip-off process was complete, what was done?
So the chip off was completed, the data was obtained, and ultimately a copy of that image file was provided to me by Agent Padilla, as well as the original chip, the infotainment module, and all of that was transported back to the Marion County Sheriff's Office.
Now, the data that was extracted from that infotainment chip, are you able to just kind of open it up on a computer and look at it and see what it says?
Not quite. It's generally speaking, it's all the raw ones and zeros from that range of memory. You can open it up and look at it, but trying to understand or parse out data from that can be quite difficult, especially if you're not quite familiar with how that specific chip or that specific operating system, we'll call it, stores data to that range of memory.
So what did you do?
We contacted Burla, so they are the original company we use for all the extraction and analysis of systems such as that. They are familiar with how the uConnect systems operate, so they had the knowledge to be able to determine if there was data, how to be able to read it. We provided them a copy of that data along with some relevant case information, dates, times, copy of our search warrants, things of that nature, so that they could review that data to be able to determine if there was anything.
Did you give the Burla company the specific time period for which you were permitted to look into the data?
That is correct, and a physical copy of the warrant showing that.
Okay. Did you receive results back from the Burla Corporation about what this data what data was contained on the chip?
We did, yes.
Was there any information contained in the results provided to you by Burla for the time period that you requested?
None that we were able to look at and review.
Do these chips in Infotainment Center, do they hold a lot of information?
No, specifically this chip was only 2 gigabytes in size, so these chips are much smaller than what we'd see on like a cell phone or something like that.
Do these types of chips hold data for a long period of time?
They do not.
Is old data constantly overwritten to make room for new data on these chips?
Correct. Specifically because of the small storage size and capacity of those chips, it's constantly trying to overwrite to put the freshest and most recent data in that amount of memory.
Would that explain the lack of data for the time period that you requested, especially considering that Jeep had been driven for days after that time period?
Correct. The way that those systems operate, if anything from potentially doors opening, closing, the vehicle being put in drive, anything that's done within that vehicle will be logged to that chip, so the more information going to it, the higher the chances are of recycling out data.
Okay. Let me direct your attention to April 6th of 2023, where you provided a digital video recorder, specifically a Night Owl security system, by Deputy Michael Eades from the Marion County Sheriff's Office.
It was, yes.
And what is a DVR?
Generally speaking, it's a recorder system that allows for video from cameras to be stored.
Were you actually provided the physical recording device or just the data from the recording device?
No, it was the actual box itself, the physical hardware from that system.
Did you verify that the timestamp on the DVR was accurate?
I did not. I conferred with Detective Michaelides, who at the time of him unplugging the device verified the time was accurate. We then plugged the system in without the actual data within it to be able to determine are the times accurate, and they appeared to be.
Okay. So what did you do with the actual DVR?
So we take that device, we remove the hard drive and that storage media from it, we connect that to a forensic workstation via a write logger. Essentially at that point it's a hard drive plugged into our forensic machines that we can then look at.
You used the term write blocker earlier, and I meant to ask you what that was. What is that?
So a write blocker prevents any writes to a specific piece of media. So, for example, if we take a hard drive and we generally just plug it into a computer, as you access it, you're going to be changing metadata or changing information on that device. A write blocker prevents any of that going to that specific piece of media plugged in.
Does that device maintain the integrity of the data on the system that you're looking at?
Correct, and that's why we use it.
Okay. Does the extraction process on a DVR add, change, delete, or modify any of the video footage from the DVR's hard drive?
No, sir, specifically because we use that write blocker.
So what type of data did you extract from this DVR?
From that DVR specifically, we pulled video footage from a number of different cameras that were identified as relevant to the investigation.
Did you do an initial extraction and then go back and extract some more data later?
Correct. The initial request from Detective Pinder was for a small subset of data. After he had reviewed that, he'd asked for more, so we did.
Referring to the initial extraction of data, from what time period did that data come?
If I can review my notes to
Yes.
specifically give that to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It was from 5 camera angles initially on 3/24 from approximately midnight to 4 a.m.
Did the 5 different camera angles have names associated with the cameras in the DVR system?
They did.
What were the names of the specific cameras?
Again, referencing my report, they were labeled as front door, backyard 1, front yard, backyard 2, garage 1.
And how do you extract data from the DVR? Do you go physically and choose parameters and dates and times and things?
No. So once we take that hard drive from the DVR system itself and we plug that into our forensic workstation via that write blocker, we utilize a program to be able to access all of the recorded video clips. It identifies all of those recorded video clips within whatever time ranges exist within that storage media, and then we can export out those video clips for review.
Did you, in fact, export those 5 cameras you mentioned earlier for the time period of midnight on March 24th to 4 a.m. on March 24th of 2023?
Correct.
Okay, and you provided that to Detective Pinder, I think you said?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I think you touched on, you were then asked to go back and extract a wider period of data. Am I right?
Correct.
From what time period did you extract data from the second time?
I believe that covered from the 21st to about the 29th, if I recall.
Okay. Did you use the same process you just described?
That is correct.
What did you do with that data?
Again, provided to detectives for their review.
Did you have any involvement in the analysis of the actual footage that you extracted?
No, sir. It was provided to the detectives and they reviewed it.
What was done with the actual DVR system when you were finished?
Ultimately, it was returned to the device owner.
Okay. Let me direct your attention to March 29th of 2023. Were you asked to extract data from another surveillance system from the Splash Car Wash located on Southeast 38th Street and 464A?
It was, yes.
Can you explain how you did that, where you went to do it, and things like that?
Sure. So myself and Detective Canterbury at that time did go down to the Splash Car Wash. We had made contact with the manager there. Ultimately, the manager allowed us access to the DVR system, holding all the video recordings from the cameras at that location. That specific system was located in a rooftop office, if you will, and we were able to access that and take a look at what was there.
What did you find when you looked at it?
So ultimately, we were able to see the live views of those cameras. With the owner's permission, we accessed the system to be able to look at historical recordings. When we attempted to do that, we could not find any historical recordings. Again, with that owner's permission, we tried to be able to determine why there was nothing historical. What we ultimately found was that the hard drive within that device was not being seen by the operating system. So essentially, that device did not see a storage array to store things to, so there were no playback devices.
So bottom line
Clips.
Is you couldn't extract any data from this DVR, am I right?
No, sir. We did attempt, but ultimately that device was showing signs of failure.
Let me direct your attention to April 13th of 2023. were you provided a Ring camera recovered from Herbert Swilley and Tim Smith's residence located at 5388 Southeast 26th Court?
I was, yes.
What is a Ring camera?
It is one specific brand of cameras, I believe it's actually owned by Amazon, that allows owners of that to record video clips.
What were you asked to do with this specific Ring camera?
So we were trying to locate specifically a serial number or MAC address from that specific camera.
Okay, I think we know what a serial number is, but what is a MAC address?
So a MAC address is a unique number that is assigned to that specific network hardware communication. So in the case of this Ring camera, they usually communicate via Wi-Fi networks. So the Wi-Fi card on that device, that network interface, will be provided a unique ID number. That is the ID number we were looking for.
What was the point of you looking for that specific MAC address or that ID number?
What was advised to me by detectives was that they were not able to locate any video from where it was stored without either having a serial number for a device or a specific MAC address to identify that device and its recordings.
Did the Ring company itself require that identifying information to try to be able to retrieve footage?
That is correct.
What did you do to try to locate the serial number or the MAC address on that Ring camera?
In many cases, most of those numbers can be listed on the hardware itself, so we attempted to see if those numbers would be listed on that camera.
Did you find them?
Ultimately, we did not.
Were you able to obtain any identifying information from that camera to be able to provide to Ring to get any kind of surveillance footage from the Ring company?
We were. So ultimately on the specific circuit board of that camera, we identified the chip that allows for communications, and the only visible markings on that was an FCC ID number. We did provide those to Amazon, the visible markings that were available to us, but they were not specific enough for them to be able to provide video.
Okay. Is Ring part of Amazon?
I believe yes, so yes.
Okay. All right, last area of inquiry. Let me direct your attention now to November 14th of 2023, where you provided a cell phone belonging to Jordan Swilley to extract data from.
It was, yes.
Can you explain how you took possession of that phone?
It was provided to me by Detective Pender.
In what condition was that phone when you received it?
Just as the others, it was powered on.
Okay. Again, for documentary purposes, what was the make and model of that phone?
That specific phone was an iPhone 15.
What was the serial number?
If I can look towards my notes here, 1 second. See if I can find that page. So the iPhone 15 serial number was Delta X-Ray, Hotel Whiskey, 73, Whiskey Juliet, Kilo Whiskey.
What was the IMEI number?
On that, it was 358-355-840-292-425.
I meant to ask you this earlier. Does the IMEI number normally appear on the actual phone itself someplace?
Yes, most phones have them in some form on the exterior of the phone to be able to identify a device.
Okay. What was the phone number associated with that phone?
That specific phone was 352-339-8530.
What did you do with that phone?
I attempted an extraction on that as well.
Okay. Were you able to extract data from that phone?
We were.
Okay. Explain kind of the process and what data you were able to find.
So, same process as before. We take the device, we connect it to Cellebrite, and we attempt extractions. In this specific case, we attempted advanced extractions, so a full file system extraction. We attempted it on the device, but that was not successful. So we then attempted other methods that kind of get smaller subsets of data and attempted those as well. Some of them succeeded with errors.
Okay. Why would you not be able to do a full system or extraction of this phone?
So the capability to be able to extract that level of data from a phone relies on a number of different factors. In this specific instance, at that time, the iPhone 15s and the version of the operating system, iOS 17, was still very brand new. That was relevant because the iOS 15s actually completely changed the data port on the bottom of iPhones. They went from the Apple Lightning port to USB-C. So because of the change in operating system, the new phone, and the new port, a lot of the commercial tools to extract data from them were not able to get full file system extractions. So we were getting what we could.
Okay. Is it fair to say that your Cellbrite software program wasn't able to read all the data from the iPhone itself because the iPhone has such a new operating system?
Correct.
Okay. You said that you were able to extract some data. What type of data were you able to find?
We were able to get a range of information. Specifically, the extraction we attempted errored out on some specific items, such as like MMS or SMS messaging.
What do you mean by
we were not
error?
able to pull those.
Okay. So what do you mean by errored out?
So extraction was attempted. Very briefly, the extraction we attempted, it's called a logical extraction. It communicates to the phone in a way that the phone can understand utilizing Cellbrite. So if it asks for something like messages, but the phone can't quite understand or doesn't quite, based off the operating system or a number of different factors, able to provide that, we can't get those. So it'll show us an error on our end saying we're unable to read that data.
And you mentioned a couple acronyms, SMS, IM. What type of information were there errors when you tried to extract?
Generally, text messaging, picture messaging. So SMS, text messages, MMS, media messaging.
Were you able to extract some text messages and media message, but not all, or were you not able to find any of those text messages or media messages?
We were able to pull some content, but not all from the device.
Okay. What was done with the results of your extraction?
What was extracted was loaded up, put into a report, and provided to Detective Bender.
Did you have any involvement in the analysis of the extraction results from Jordan Swilley's phone?
No, sir, I did not.
Ultimately, what was done with Jordan Swilley's phone?
It was returned to Detective Bender and ultimately the owner.
I got one moment, Your Honor. I have no other questions. Thank you, sir.
Is there any cross-examination of this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Board.
Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon again, sir.
Great, sir.
Regarding the uConnect system that you were discussing on direct examination, you mentioned that you've been involved in, correct me if I'm wrong, in the analysis of a handful of those?
Yes, it's the extraction and analysis of a handful with the sheriff's office, correct?
Okay, so like 5 times or less?
Yeah, I believe 5 would be a good number.
Hold on. Can we just have a seat
Sure.
and pull the microphone, because that microphone is made for someone at sitting level. I think it'll pick you up better.
I have the habit of standing.
I know, but if you can do it sitting, it will pick you up better.
All right. And just so we have a clear record, Mr. Newbanks, I was asking how many times you had analyzed a uConnect system.
With the sheriff's office, it's 5. However, we had conducted extractions and analysis through the course of the training that I completed with that company.
Okay. So, in addition to analyzing, that would include extraction as well, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And is a uConnect system unique to only a vehicle?
Yes, sir, it would be.
And it was your testimony that that would be to either a Jeep, Chrysler, or Dodge brand vehicle?
So they would be that manufacturer. So everything ranging from like Chargers to Jeeps all use uConnect 5Cs. Or, sorry, uConnect systems.
And I gathered from direct examination and your testimony that you went to lengths to attempt to obtain the data from the uConnect system on the victim's 2020 Jeep Sahara, is that right?
Correct, yes.
But ultimately, you were not able to obtain any data of value. Is that a fair statement?
Anything from Nothing from within the time frame we were allowed to look at, correct?
Understood. And do you know what came of the defendant's cell phone after your extraction of data from it?
I believe it was ultimately provided to the Evidence Division for safekeeping.
Understood. And would that have been the same for the victim's two phones, the one Galaxy and the one iPhone?
Yes, correct.
And I thought I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there were 5 different times where the victim's Galaxy phone attempted or did connect with a uConnect system on or about March 23rd of 2023. Did I hear that wrong?
No, correct. So that report that we were looking at earlier shows 5 connections and disconnections. We specifically identified 3 connections.
You were not able to identify the other 2?
So they're all 5 are listed. It's 3 connections, 2 disconnections, creating 5 entries total in that report.
Understood. One moment.
Yes, sir.
And going to the extractions that you conducted on the Night Owl security system, the DVR, you mentioned, and correct me if I heard you wrong, that part of that process is determining the accuracy of the time and date stamp?
Correct.
Okay. How did you go about doing that regarding this particular DVR?
Sure. So in this particular instance, Deputy Michaelides was the one who collected the DVR. I generally train, at the time, I trained everybody at the sheriff's office that I could to, at the time of collection of that DVR, to take a photo of the time that's displayed on the screen. Ultimately, that's what Deputy Michaelides had brought to me with the DVR to be able to determine was the date and time accurate on that system, which we were able to determine it was.
How do you go about making that determination as well?
Apologies, Your Honor. Let me see if I can get this back on. Yeah, so the time and date that is going to be shown on the DVR system, specifically on that screen, we match that to the current time and date from when we're unplugging that device, or the current time and date we're conducting that analysis. Essentially, is the DVR system showing that it is, today at today's time, 6:19 at 2:37 p.m. We use that just to be able to determine are the times we're looking for in video clips going to be relevant and in the time we normally understand it to be. Not an hour off or 4 days off type of deal.
Okay. And the 2 extractions that you did on that Night Owl DVR in reference to your involvement in this investigation, those were done, correct me if I'm wrong, April 6th of 2023. Is that correct?
Are you asking the date and time we conducted the extraction or the date we pulled video from?
I wrote down the date of April 6th of 2023. What did you do on that date regarding that Night Owl DVR?
Let me go back to my notes here just to see if I can figure that out. Yeah, April 6th of 2023 was when I was provided that DVR system. We pulled video from 3/24, and ultimately on 4/12 we were asked to pull more video by Detective Pinder. That was that second set of analysis.
So the initial extraction extraction was done on the date that you got that DVR,
Correct. Yes.
and then you went back on April 12th of that year and you did the other extraction at the request of the ex-offender.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And you're looking at the DVR once you turn it on to determine that the time and date and year are current, and then comparing that back to the requested periods of time you were asked to look for. Is that my understanding? Is that right?
It is essentially what we're doing is being able to determine is the time and date on the recorded videos accurate. Yes. So what we're doing is we're comparing the date and time that is shown on that DVR at the time of us either doing the analysis or shutting that video off to make sure that what is displayed on the system is the current date and time. So that when we're exporting those clips, it's using the date and time we're familiar with, not having to adjust time for those clips by if they're an hour off. Does that help clear up that confusion?
It does, but I'm still wondering if perhaps if it was right when you looked at it, but on a prior date, it would have been off. Is that possible?
No. So the way we conduct these extractions, we're removing the storage media from the actual DVR system. So when we do that, there are no more changes that are going to be made to what is stored in that drive. When we are connecting it with our write locker, again, no changes are being made there. So when we seize the device and we verify that date and time is accurate, that is kind of the end of any potential changes made, because now we hold that hard drive in our possession to be able to pull video clips from that. So nothing would change at a later date.
That makes sense. Regarding the Ring camera that you were asked to attempt to extract data from, was it just one Ring camera from the residence of the deceased and my client that you were asked
Yes,
to
only.
extract data from?
Yes, sir. Only one was provided to me.
Okay. And it was your understanding that was the Ring camera from the front door of the residence?
I don't recall it being the front door camera. I don't recall exactly which specific camera it was or where it was located on the residence. It was just provided to me by the detectives.
Will anything help you recall that information?
If somebody has it documented in their report as to which specific camera it was, I could review that and be able to determine. But like I said, it was just provided to me by the detectives. I don't recall it being a front door camera.
Understood. Okay. And the ultimate determination of your efforts was that you were not able to obtain the data? Is that a fair statement?
Correct. Ultimately, we were not able to get any video from that specific camera.
Okay. Judge, one moment.
Certainly.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
Very briefly, Mark. Mr. Newbanks, on cross-examination, you were asked about the data that you received from the Burla Corporation from the Jeep's infotainment center.
Correct.
And you said that there was no data from the time period for which you were allowed to look at.
Correct.
You obtained this, or you obtained the infotainment center pursuant to a search warrant, right?
Correct. Specifying what data we would be able to collect within a time frame.
So are you confined and only allowed to look for data during the time period authorized by the judge who signed the search warrant?
That is correct.
Okay. And when you look at that date range, in this case, was it March 23rd and March 24th?
I believe so.
Okay. During that narrow window, there was no data present?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir. No other questions, Your Honor.